Thank you. It's quite impressive to be here and listen to all those startups. You probably wonder, what do a startup director do? My role is really to make sure that our politicians understand what is needed for our startups to grow into scale-ups. But that's not the only thing. The other, even more important thing is to have them and really make them understand how we can raise the awareness of how startups can help us to build the future that we want. And that is especially true when it comes to smart city. We can't do that without startups. But what is a smart city? This is a question that's quite difficult to answer. And I think there are as many different answers. There are people here today, probably more. So the Stockholm capital of the Stockholm city, what they did was really that they provided a vision. They were collecting a group of people to discuss what does it mean for Stockholm to be the smartest city in the world. And they provided this vision. And in this vision, they described how we can clean the water with mussel farms, how we could have more public roof garden, how we could have driverless autonomous transportation and urban farming. And this vision and this document was really not, it was more intended to spark a discussion and to inspire for new solutions. But the thing is that if you want to realize this kind of vision, you can't use the traditional product development. You need another way to do this. You need some kind of mission-driven experimentation. And this is what we see in Sweden in a lot of different ways right now, and all over the world, where we see part of the cities that are really these experimentation areas. In Sweden, among other places, those are not the only one. We have in Malmö, the Western Harbour, in Linköping, the Vallastaden, and in Stockholm, the Hammarby Sjöstad. This is areas where we are developing new buildings, and we are trying out new applications and new services for the smart city. Due to the fact that there are so many different activities going on all over Sweden, we have also seen a need to coordinate those activities, to collaborate, to do something that is even bigger than each city and each testbed in its own. So we have initiated a partnership program, innovation partnership program called Smart City. And in this partnership program, there's a lot of different stakeholders, there's researchers, there's large corporations, real estate companies, solution providers, governmental agencies, and startups. And in these groups, we are discussing the opportunities when it comes to smart city, the opportunities for Sweden, but also the challenges. Some of the opportunities and some of the initiatives that have been the result of this collaboration has been a testbed called the Sharing City Sweden, where several different cities in Sweden are trying out new models for a sharing economy, how that could improve this smart city of Sweden. Another testbed and another initiative that we have is the urban drone testbed, where we're trying new application and services where we're using drone as a vehicle for innovation in an urban setting. But those testbeds are not the only thing. What is also very, very important, and you can see that a lot of those applications in the smart city, they are data-driven. So we have to also reflect to make sure that we have data that can really spark new innovation. And just recently, MIT, the City of Stockholm, and KTH launched a partnership where they were going to take and use the data provided of the Stockholm city to do new smart application for the smart city. We have an initiative called Hack of Sweden, where all the governmental agencies are opening up their data and spark innovation with entrepreneurs and innovators to really, for 48 hours, spend time to develop new solutions based on the open data. But that's not the only data. We also have the space data, and I think this is an untapped potential, especially for smart city development. With the space Earth observations provided by space, we can really have more or less real-time observation of what's happening in a city, on the oceans, etc. We have the global GPS system that can really track and position objects and people. So there's a lot of things, there are a lot of opportunities if we can really master and use this data in a smart way. But when we talk about data, when we talk about those test beds, there's always this challenge then of how those new innovations really meet the old regulations. How do we handle this? Because there's really no easy answers to this. Many times there are things in the old regulations that we need to preserve, but there's things in the old regulation that we need to change to open up and make it possible for us to realize those smart solutions. So in Sweden we have initiated this Committee for Technological Innovation and Ethics. And in this committee is a platform for discussion between stakeholders regarding how to handle all those ethical dilemmas and the challenges that innovation poses on old regulations. And this committee role is really to propose new policy and new regulations for the government. So this said, we are doing quite a lot when it comes to this mission-driven experimentation. We are providing the platforms, we are providing the data, we are providing the discussion forum to change the regulation, but still there is one piece that is really missing that we can improve substantially, and that is the question of implementation. I would say, I will give you a story. Before I started to work in the ministry, I worked in an innovation agency called Vinnova. The Vinnova was very early on to try out this challenge-driven innovation. With challenge-driven innovation, we had consortiums of stakeholders from the academia, from the industry, from the government, collaborate around bringing new solutions to life. Many times there was really smart solutions. We had one when it comes to smart city, for example, where we were developing a solution to really control your energy consumption in the homes and be able to wirelessly also control how the energy usage of your home was, control everything and visualize it. And this solution was very successful. It lowered the energy consumption substantially. Once the project was over, this solution never became a reality. And how come? The challenge was that the stakeholders were incumbents, were old existing companies, and this business and this idea didn't fit into their business model. We had the researchers developing the solution, and they were not interested to bring this to market. So it died. It ended up in the innovation graveyard. So one learning that we made out of this, and many similar projects, what they would need to include someone that can take good ideas and successful projects and implement them into the market. And we have to include them already from start, because you can't do that afterwards and just put an innovation in the hands of an entrepreneur. They need to be part of this process already from the start. So this focus on implementation, the focus on the startups as an implementation vehicle has been a fundamental question for us. And from that perspective, we're quite happy, because Stockholm is one of the most vibrant ecosystems for startups in Europe and in the world, as well as Berlin. And so we do have an ecosystem, and we do have a lot of entrepreneurial spirit and entrepreneurial power in the system that we can use. But what do we need? What do those startups need to help us to implement those smart solutions, to help us to build these smart cities? Of course, they need this data and space for experimentation. As I said before, we do need to have a lot of competence from our universities and from other perspectives. We need to have capital to grow the company, but we also need strong customers. The importance of customers is something that we usually underestimate, because there need to be someone that's prepared to pay for those solutions. And it can't always be the citizens, especially when it comes to smart city. We need to have cities and governmental agencies that are prepared to put in the money, to be there, putting requirements to co-create the future together with those entrepreneurs. And I think this is something that we need to put even more effort into building this collaboration. And I think that what Vattenfall is now doing, that they are stepping up, being a customer, being a co-creator with startup is really, really good. Because I think that we were better at this a long time ago. I think that in Sweden, at least, a company like Ericsson was created in co-creation together with the telecom company. And that created the mobile phone revolution. And Vattenfall, they were working very closely with ABB to create the new energy solutions that were the success for ASEA and then became ABB. And there are opportunities to work more closely together with the startups as a customer in co-creation again. And I see that happening much more, but also from a governmental perspective, we need to step up. So, but even if we do that, even if we step up as a customer, that is not enough if we're only talking about Sweden. So what we are also doing in Sweden is that we are providing an export and investment platform called Smart City Sweden. In this platform, we are collecting and gathering all the startups and all the companies that have solutions to build that can benefit the building of the smart city. And we are helping them to reach a global market. We're marketing them to international actors and helping them to reach out. And this has been really successful to create visibility. So, to connecting the dots and bridging the gaps from vision to reality, from ideas to the realization of the smart city, we need to have test beds where we can experiment. We need to have strong customers that know what they want and can really pay for solutions. And we need startups as the vehicle to bring those solutions to life. And in Sweden, our politicians, they say, and they have the goal that Sweden is going to be the first fossil-free welfare state. But if we are going to succeed with this goal, we absolutely need the startups. So,